Hey folks, for today's cable termination, we're going to be looking at how to terminate a UTP cable, or what you call an Ethernet cable. Simply say network cable, either network cable or Ethernet cable, much more technical, or UTP cable, unshielded twisted pair cable. So that's what a termination is for today. The tools for the job, we do have a cutter, or it's a snipper. It's for snipping, for cutting. And then we do have the cable stripper. It's generally used for stripping the jacket of the Ethernet cable. So it has the hole that a cable goes through, and then you just push this valve, locks it in, and then turn it straight to the jacket. There are different types. This is just an enterprise grade type, pretty expensive. And then we have our crimping tool. This is the cleanse tool. These are our cleanse tool devices. They are both made by the same company. Very reliable. This happens to be a pass-through crimping cable, or crimping tool, sorry. It's a ratchet type, so it ratchets. Ratcheted. And it also comes with the various standards for terminating a network cable. So you got your standard A and B. You got your A and then B. So the various color codes are all indicated. This is for the RJ45s. If you're terminating with the RJ45s or the connectors, those are the pin numbers and how to correspond to each other, and how they correspond to each of the various color codes. So pretty good. And this type of crimping tool happens to be a pass-through crimping tool. We'll get to that later. Okay, a pass-through because of this component or module. Anyway, we'll get to that part later. But this is a crimping tool. Okay, so it has both the RJ45 and then RJ11 telephone lines termination, as well as the Ethernet cable or network cable termination. And then you do have your testers. These are made by ThreadNet. Very reliable. It actually has the this is the transmitter device, the transmitter tester, and this is the remote device. So this is where you basically plug the init, and it comes with the rear ends. So assuming that it's a cable all the way at a different location, you use the remote device on that location, and then the transmitter will be at the main terminal point for you to test if the termination is correct or not. And if you step through the various pinholes or pin color codes, or pins as they call them, one by one, that is the correct. So you got all the 8 pins that we have, and then the ground at the end. And for both receiving and transmitting. Okay? And the 2 ports here, if you look at it, says remote and loopback. So we can loop back the cable to test for, assuming you have a short cable, you can loop them back and then test it away. So if you have a patch cable like a 1 meter cable, you can just use this device alone to test it if it's properly terminated. But if the cable is like long and it's on a different end, then you need a remote side of it. So this end will go into this end, or we'll look at this. We'll go with this end. Okay. Great. And then our cable itself, right? So here is our unshielded twisted pair. There are two types of network cables. We do have the unshielded and then the shielded. Let me see if I can find a shielded one. So here happens to be a shielded type, and if you look at the thickness, you notice that one is thicker than the other, and even the jackets are a bit thicker. There are two layers. The shielded one has got 2 layers. There's a brown, I don't know if you can see, it's a brown layer. There's a brown layer right there, and then there's the black layer. So we have 2 layers of jackets before you actually get to what makes it unshielded. So what makes it shielded, and is this material here. You see the aluminum foil. These protect against interferences for outdoor implementations. So hence it's shielded. They're mostly used for outdoor deployments. And the unshielded types, so UTP, STP, shielded, unshielded, these are used for mostly indoor deployments. So these ones don't have much shields of jackets or protection against interference for outdoor installation. So keep that in mind. Okay, so indoor installation, outdoor installation, shielded twisted pair, unshielded twisted pair. Today we're going to terminate this one over here, the shielded, so the unshielded twisted pair. Okay, so now let's move some of the tools aside. Get a stripper. So what you do is you grab your stripper and you push down on the STP, if you can see clearly, STP, out of focus, too much light. You see, say STP or UTP, this is the hole that goes with that. That's for your coaxial cable stripping. So with this, we're going to use this part of it. So you set it in there, and you have to watch where the blade is. It has blades inside. The blade is designed to basically create a sharp part, so at least you can be able to strip off the jacket so you can get to the wires. Okay, so if you look to, you see a razor blade inside. You see that? It's a razor blade inside there. There you go. There's the blade that cuts through the jacket. It's been set with a fixed size. That makes the jacket's cutting a lot easier. Okay, it's been preset. So a defined depth that cuts through the jacket to remove just the jacket alone, so you don't cut the cables in it. So now let's go through that and see. Okay. So like that, insert it in there, lock it in, twist it, release it, and you see that the jacket comes right off. There's the jacket. And if you notice, there are no other layers as compared to the shoulder twisted pair. You got other layers that you have to go through before you get to the actual wires, or you get to the actual twisted pairs. Now the wires are twisted to avoid crosstalk and other signal challenges. That's why the wires are twisted in pairs. Okay, so to avoid crosstalk on a transmission, so they twist the wires, the jacket. So once you have the jacket off, you get access to the cables, and you see the various color codes. You can see your brown and white, you can see your green and white, orange and white, and then blue and white. And they've been twisted in pairs. So 4 pairs adding up to 8 wires. In the middle you have the separator, as well as a rope that allows you to basically, if you want extra more jackets cut off, use this rope to cut through the jacket a lot easier. We don't need those, so we're going to cut them off. Take it. Take your a cutter or your snipper and snip that side off. So you have this to work with. Okay? Now let's get our RJ45. Okay, we have for the RJ45 we do have the pass-through. So if you pass through, you can see the wires comes out of the RJs. So these RJs are purely pass-through, and if you look straight into there, you will notice that there's a hole. See the hole? You notice the hole right there, right? You can see through that. That right there. That gobber, you see? I want to zoom in a bit. See the hole? They're right there. So that hole right there. Okay, can you see it? Yeah, see that hole? That is a pass-through. It means the wires comes out of the back of the RJ45. Okay? So it's called a pass-through connector. And they go with this. So this is the pass-through connector 2 with the blade on the end. Cuts the wires that comes out when you're terminating them. But for this session, we're going to use the non-pass-through. Non-pass-through, if you look carefully, they're sealed up at the end. So completely sealed. There's no gap. It's all sealed up at the end. Notice that? So we're going to use these ones. And an RJ45 also, it's a pretty intricate design in terms of how it's been put together. We have the conductors, which are the pins. There are these gold plates over here, and then inside they have sharp edges that are designed to cut through the wires to create contact. Okay, and there are 8 of them. Okay, so there are 8 holes over here that all these wires need to go into, and then when you crimp down on these conductors, they cut through the wires and establish connectivity, allowing signal to flow in and out. Now, other key parts of the RJ that you need to look out for, so one of them is the conductors, the blade conductors. Some people call them the cathodes or whatever, but they are conductors, they are blade conductors. Okay? You also do have the clip. This clip here is very essential to making sure that your RJ45 is locked into an Ethernet port, or securing the RJ45 connector into a network port or an Ethernet port, so that when you try to yank it out accidentally, it doesn't come out unless you push down on the clip. So the clip acts as a release and secure. Okay, and then you also, when you look at it carefully, you also see a bit of a latch over here. There's a latch over here, and that latch job is to hold onto the jacket when it's inside, like that. The latch over here, when you crimp on it, it locks the jacket in place, and that secures the entire cable within the connector. So there's a latch over here, right there. Okay? When you crimp on it, it locks the jacket on and inside the RJ connector. Okay? The RJ is about, it's almost about an inch in length, or maybe about third quarter of an inch, maybe. It looks like a third quarter of an inch, but I usually just run up to about an inch. It's about an inch in length. So you want to make sure that when you're terminating the cable into the RJ, you want half of the jacket to be all the way in. So halfway. So yeah, you want it to be halfway inside the RJ before you crimp on it. Don't let it be just at the tip, because once you do that, the latch over here is not going to hold onto the jacket to secure the cable. Try and make sure you get all the way through, halfway through it. See that? Before you terminate it. Okay, folks. Okay, so that's your RJ. So this is the, got a whole bunch of non-pass-through RJs. And then you have your pass-through RJs, connectors. You also do have your clip covers or jackets. So before you terminate the cable, you want this to be inside this way, instead of inside. So once you're done, you bring it back up to cover the RG, just to cover the clip. So the clip goes right into that pouch over here to make it much more professionally terminated. Okay, but I think this one here is for Cat 5. I think I run out of the Cat 6 one, so it won't go into this one. This one is a bit thicker. Well, let's try it and see. So let's push it all the way through. Oh, it does. Okay, so this is probably the right one. No, it's not. It is. Okay, I thought I ran out of the RG, the Cat 6 shields. I guess not. So you put the jacket on. Okay. Now let's separate the color code. So we're going to be using standard B, which happens to be the most widely used standard for termination. And based on the standard, we want to have it starting with white orange. So you just untwist them, get them straight. I got a bit of separator in here that I need to cut off. So it's white, orange, and then we have white, green, and that goes with blue, solid blue, solid blue. Try to put them together as close as possible. And then you have the white blue adding to the blue itself. And then we bring back the green. And after green you have your light or white brown. And then your solid brown. See how even and straight I got them, and I'm holding tight on this to make sure the arrangement doesn't flicker. Okay, you always want to make sure the arrangement is in order. So I'm holding on to it, so I know when I release my thumbs on them, so off them, they're gonna go into disarray. So I try to keep them in keep my thumb on them all the time to make sure they're together. And then once you're done, you're basically measuring it. You can just use about ½ an inch cut off. So right there, and then you snip up the rest. And try to get as straight and even as possible. Okay. So it's very even, straight. See that? Very straight and even. And you get your RJ45. Now when you put in the wires into it, you want to make sure that the clip is facing downwards. Okay? When the clip faces downwards, pin 1 starts from your in this case from my left to my right. So pin 1 starts from here, the left side, and then pin 8 ends at the right side. Very good. So once you do that, you put your way in there and try to get your RJs, your wires in place. Squeeze them real tight. Try to make sure they all line up, and then push them into their respective holes. So once you got the wires in there, You're gonna line up into the respective holes inside the RJs. That the pins that the conductors align in. You push it all the way. Like I said, you want to make sure half of the jacket is all the way in, halfway through the RJs. So work it in there, keep pushing all the way. See, now I got it about halfway in there. If you look at it, you can see about halfway. It goes over the latch. So let me use this. This is the latch over here, and you see my my jacket is way beyond the jacket, way beyond the latch now. So when I crimp, it will secure the jacket to the wire inside the RJ. Okay, and then you can always look at the front end of it to see if you can see all the ends of the wires. The 8 wires are all in there. You want to make sure you see it though. Can you see it? You see that? Right there. See those dots? Those are the tips of the wires that you can see over there. You want to make sure you can see them. Okay, all of them. If you can't see them, then you don't have all the wires all the way through. And when you do terminate, the conductors will not be able to cut through the wires properly. So try as much as possible to get it all the way through. Make sure everything is aligned over here. Then once that is done, you grab your crimping tool. Okay, so this is the pass-through, and since I'm not using a pass-through connector, I can't use this crimping tool right here. I have to get the non-pass-through one. So here is the non-pass-through one, the same company. You notice that this is bigger than this. The pass-through is bigger than the non-pass-through. See? In terms of size, the pass-through is at the bottom. It's bigger than the non-pass-through. The non-pass-through, you notice that there are no blades at the end to cut the wires once they come out. So as compared to the pass-through, you get the blade over there that's supposed to cut the wires, but non-pass-through, nothing. Okay, so we're going to put this aside, and then you ratchet it out, and then you insert the RJ into the connector, into the RJ45 slots, which is your 8-pin slots. Okay, and you wanna, if you look at the design, you notice that it has where the latch goes. It has a kind of like a ditch or an opening at the top to allow for the clip to go in there. So make sure you turn it properly, and then you hook it up right there. So if you notice, it's going into the RJ with the clip facing upwards, so you can go into the latch right there. See that? You don't want to turn it this way because it wouldn't work that way. If you know, the clip is at the bottom now. What am I saying? The clip is at the back over here, and there's nothing. It's at the back right there. Oops. So if you look at it, see, if you try to insert it in there, it becomes a problem because now you actually have your clip at the back side. At the back side, and there's no hole at the back side to support the clip. So make sure you get in the right order. So turn it, make sure the clip is facing up, and set it into the way you have the latch support the clip. That right up there. See that? Right there. Set it in there, make sure it goes all the way through, and then try and see if you can see it at the end. Okay, and then you just press hard on it. Okay, so we got it in there. So just all the way down, and once you push all the way down, the conductors are squeezed in to create the contact into the wires. Once you're done, you just release it. So you notice that the latch has been squeezed down to hold the jacket. So I'm guessing that was why the jacket locker, which is right there, see that? That thing right there was not aligned properly with the latch. So that's what was difficult to print. But once it got aligned properly, it just did the trick. Okay? So now it's united, it's broken. Yeah, I'm guessing that's the reason why. You don't want this. It means that the RJ here is probably not up to standard. It's ideal, it's supposed to be very solid enough to hold in there. Okay, so now that we got this, but whenever you see this, let me show that RJ. So try to fix that, get a new one, or buy a different type. Anyway, with this, for demo purposes, we're going to look at it that way. And then once you're done, you just push your jackets all the way back. Place. And then you do have a nicely put RJ. That looks so professional, right? Okay. So this bulge over here secures a clip from breaking out easily, or from somebody pulling off. It's very delicate, so you want to make sure it's well protected using this the boot, the clip boot covers. Okay, so now it looks like a professionally done termination. Alright, so this is most of the professionally ones, the professional terminations look like once they're done. Okay guys, and then you obviously want to do the same thing at the other end. So attach cable, okay, so I got a patch cable. We have one and terminated. Gotta work on this side as well. So the same process, same procedure. Squeeze the blade in. Get it in there. Twist it. Just 360 on the jacket. Get the wires through, and snip of the ones you don't want. Do the separations now. So you have your color codes. White, orange, and then you get a white, green, you get the blues, blue, white's blue, now the green, and then finally your browns. You got your white, and then your solid brown. So if you notice, if you look at it carefully, you'll notice that a white goes to the solid, white, solid, white, solid, white, solid, white, solid. There's no situation where you're going to have two solids or two solid colors together. It has to go with the white all the time. Okay? So just make sure about that. And there are no two whites together either. It's a white, solid, white, all the way to the last end. Now once you got that in order, you snip it off nicely and even. Get your RJ and then work it out so you can get your wires in place. Ooh, I got this thing completely off. This is what happens when you release the wires too early. So in this case, we have to go back and then strip off a bit more so we can have and make sure we get rid of the. You don't want to release the wires too early from your thumb. That's where you have problems. So your lights start all over again, basically. Lights green, blue, white's blue, green, all straight up. And then let me see, I got some arrangement over here that's not good, so let me try to fix that by putting the green a bits on this side. Now let's cut through this a bit more. Sometimes the dividers create a lot of problems. So some students might prefer to get rid of the divider or the separator right away to ease that issue before actually putting them together. Then you got your green, white, brown, and then solid brown. Okay, so once you do have this, in a manner that's really convenient for you to insert them into the RJ. So I'm spending time just trying to make sure they're in the right order. That's very important. Then you can snip them off. Get your RJ, work it in there, and then get them in place. Make sure they're all lined up. They're all lined up real nice. Okay, and then you start pushing all the way through until you see them at the end. So you can see them right there. Wake it up. Yeah, you going to see them all the way at the end. All the 8 wires. I think it looks like they're all in there. And you get your crimping tool, and set it in there, and then release. Okay. Yeah. The latch clips keep breaking off. I forgot to put the jacket on this guy over here. I'll make sure you do. Okay, so now let's test it. Just plug one in. I'm going to use a remote and loop back since we have a device close to us. And then we turn it on. So you want to make sure the lights are matching for each pin. So pin 1, pin 1, and then step right through them. Pin 2, pin 2, pin 3, pin 3, 4, so 3, 3. So that's what you're going to see. So 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4. Let's select some changes. And all are aligned. So everything looks aligned over here. It means you got a good termination. Okay? So now you can just see auto. See them moving across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and ground. Good. So once you're done, you have a patch cable, folks. So that's how you go about the termination. Now if this is a long cable and it was at either end, same approach. Hook it up to a remote device, and then you're going to use a remote port, and then you step through it, same approach. So they align up, step through it, and notice that they're even up. Right? Perfect. Alright folks, so this is your cable. It looks great. Okay? Except that we missed the jacket. The most important thing is you got good connectivity at both ends. And the same standard. So we have standard B here as well as standard B over here. And when you do that, when both ends of a network cable, an Ethernet cable, is terminated with the same standard, you have a straight through cable. And when you mismatch them, you have A here and B there, or B here and A here, B here and A there, and you have crossover. Okay? So when you mismatch the standards, then you have crossover. But when they are the same across both, across the two ends, you have straight through. Okay, guys. Alright. So that should do it for the unshielded twisted pair cable.